A big effing moment for me was in 2013. We were in Sochi, Russia. And so every year before the Olympic Games, they have the Olympic test event, our last World Cup race of the season. So we have like 8 or 9 World Cup races. Our last one of the season is always on the future Olympic track. So we were in Sochi, Russia at the on the Olympic track, getting ready to compete and everything. And I got a call from my mom saying that my grandfather wasn't doing well and that the next call I received said he passed away, right? And like I said, I'm a very, very family-oriented person, and I didn't really like the sport. So like, that combination made me want to just go home. Like the first instinct was like, oh, I'm gonna go home, spend some time with my family, like lay my grandfather to rest. I don't even like this sport, I'm ready to go. And so when I talked to the coaches, they were like, you know, give it a day, let's see how you feel. My brother was in playoffs at the time, and it's like a 10-hour time difference. And my mom got on the phone and was just like, you know what, your grandfather would have really loved for you to be, to stay and compete. Like you have to prove yourself on this future Olympic track. And I was kind of upset with her for that because she knows how much that meant to me to go home and to kind of be there in that moment with them. And so I decided to stay. And I was angry and upset the entire time. So the entire week leading up into our race, like, I had this weird mood, like I didn't want to talk to my teammates, I didn't want to talk to anybody, and it was almost like, why am I even there? So the night before my race, I remember telling myself, like, if you're gonna do this, you gotta put whatever you're feeling into the sled, like, F it. Whatever you're feeling, don't try and trick yourself into thinking you're happy, don't try and make yourself feel like you can do it, like all these strong emotions you're feeling, the sadness, the pain, everything, just put that energy into the sled and just give it all you got. And so when I went out there, my race was at night in Sochi, Russia, and it was daytime in Chicago. It was literally, so as I'm racing, they're going to his funeral. And we ended up racing and competing. I set the star record on the future Olympic track and we won bronze or silver, and that was my first medal of the season. And I felt like in that moment, if I would have went home, I wouldn't be sitting here today because I wouldn't be an Olympic bobsledder. I knew how much I wanted to be with my family, and I knew how much I wasn't feeling the sport. So I felt like if I went home, I wouldn't want to return. And saying F it and just kind of staying and pushing through made me the Olympian you see here. It was hard, and I feel like a lot of times we try and trick ourselves into thinking that we're not affected by stuff or you can push through, and it's not always easy to push through, but I think channeling that energy into other ways was really helpful for me and helped me to compete and stick through it. Being an Olympian has changed my life because it made sports have a deeper meaning for me. I went into becoming an Olympian and pursuing the Olympics because I wanted an Olympic medal. Like I wanted to be an Olympian and I wanted an Olympic gold medal. And it wasn't until I started competing in 2012 leading up into the Olympics. And as we started reaching 2014, there were a lot more African American women on the USA team. The news outlets were picking up our story, and I started getting messages from people on Instagram, Facebook about how my story was resonating with them. Like I didn't understand that me pursuing this one sport was inspiring them to go for this job, to show their kids that they could do it. They're from the south side of Chicago. Now they're all excited about watching the Olympics and winter sports. And it just showed me that this platform isn't just about being an Olympian and winning a medal. I stand for so much more. So by the time I got to Sochi and for that first Olympic Games or competed on that Olympic platform, I was standing for so much more. I was up there representing Chicago. It was a new meaning for me to represent my country. I think that I realized how much this platform meant and what it stood for, and that, you know, it's not just about sports and competing, it's about what you bring and inspiring that next generation.